Hey, welcome to another incredible episode of the Real Deal podcast. Happy Thursday, April 3rd. We are in the month of April. Can you believe it? It's just this year is going so fast. It's springtime. Doesn't feel like spring most of the time, but it's still springtime. But before we get started, let's go. All right, welcome to another great episode of the Real Deal podcast. I'm your host, as always, Courtney Harden. Glad to be back with another incredible episode. You can follow the show on all the platforms. It is whether it's Spotify, Apple. We're on YouTube as well. BS3 Network YouTube channel, BS3TVLive.com. Also, we're on Spreaker. We're on Roku, also BS3 Network. You download the app. We're on the Roku channel there, and you can follow the show on all the social media platforms: Twitter, Instagram, X, I should say, Twitter, X, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. Yeah, so wherever you get your podcast and consume podcasts, we're there. iHeartRadio as well. Well, I have a great, incredible guest waiting in the wings, so I'm not going to keep her long here. I have Skyler Gerard. She is a reporter for the Colorado Buffaloes on SI. For those that don't know, SI is Sports Illustrated, which is that's been the long Sports Illustrated has been for years and years and years. So, Skyler, welcome to the show. Really appreciate it.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah. I'm excited to have you on and get to know you. I saw one of your videos on SI, and which I'm always on that website and still get the magazine and things like that. And I came upon your show there and what you do being a reporter there as well. So I said, hey, I like what you're doing. So just wanted to invite you on the show and to start following each other. So thank you. I really appreciate it.
Yes, thank you so much for saying that also.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Now I'm always watching and as a sports reporter, we're always looking, watching, and navigating through social media and other pages and things like that, just consuming our news and things. So I came upon your page and do incredible work. So again, I thank you for your time to share your story. So first question I always ask my first time guests, I ask, okay, who is Skyler Gerard? And share a little bit of your background.
So I'm Skyler Gerard. I am 23 years old. I just graduated from college in May from Ole Miss, and
congratulations on that.
Yeah, I loved it. It was the best place I could have gone, especially with the sports they have there, with SEC and just all of that. I was very thankful that was where I chose to go. I majored in journalism with a sports broadcasting emphasis and minored in sports administration. So I always wanted to be in sports in any way I could. And yeah, that's about it. Now I work for Colorado Buffaloes on SI, and it's amazing. So
yeah, we'll get into all of that with Colorado and everything too. So as you said, you always knew you wanted to be in sports, some type of sports journalism and broadcasting too. Talk about that a little bit more in depth of that journey of just getting into it, the where you found the love for sports journalism, and maybe we'll discuss a little bit of the differences of what sports journalism is today and what it was even just like a couple of years ago. So talk a little bit more about your journey of the love of sports journalism and broadcasting.
So my mom was in television news when she first graduated from college.
Okay.
And she always told me about it. And I was like, that sounds like the coolest thing ever. She was a talent coach. And so that got me kind of thinking about that type of job. And my dad really was the one that showed me sports, and really like that's how it became my passion, was because he loved sports so much and he would talk about them. And then I got into them, and especially football.
Yeah.
So my parents honestly were a big help in how I ended up loving this job. And yeah, so that's kind of the background about it. And yeah, I just love it.
Yeah, for sure. I can tell by the passion you have, and just what you know the what you've been doing throughout your journey. Definitely have a big passion for it. Becoming a sports reporter and things like that. What's been some of your favorite moments throughout this this journey, your young career, young journey? What's been some of your favorite? Yeah, some of your favorite moments.
So when I first got into college, I was trying to find ways to get involved because Ole Miss
Okay.
has a lot of good ways to start getting experience and getting involved. So I was part of Newswatch, and it's the on-campus news outlet.
Hmm.
And I was part of the sports part, and we got to go to, for me, it was basketball games, and I got to go and do stand-ups, video, and stuff like that. And so that was like the first time that I got to really like see how it would be. And then I ended up going in studio and anchoring and getting that experience also. So in school, that was a big one for sure. But since I've graduated, some big moments are I went to SEC Media Days with
Yeah.
the SEC Nation crew. So I shadowed Paul Feinbaum there, and I met all of them, and they're amazing. And Paul's like so amazing, and he's really helped me out in a lot of ways. So
Yeah.
those are two really big highlights, I would say. And also, I helped be a production assistant for CBS Sports for an Ole Miss versus LSU game. So I also got to see that and meet a lot of people from that. So that was also really, really good.
Yeah, I mean, SEC. I want to get into that. That the SEC. That not even just football, just SEC, the conference in itself, because the basketball was huge too this year. The last couple of years actually. And talk about how big. I don't think the people from the outside. I'm on the East Coast of Philly, and I see from covering sports and loving sports how big it is. But you said you've been a part of that. Talk about how big SEC, especially the football of how that is, and you went to Ole Miss and all. Yeah, talk about that, all that SEC, how big that is, and that people that don't understand.
Yes, it's so huge, and
Yeah.
people that go to SEC schools, they, like, embrace that. Like, it's
Hmm.
really it's in them. Like, I will always say, like, "SEC girl," like, I just, like and the sports is just, like, another level, I feel like,
Hmm.
and I got to experience that, like, personally, and just to see how passionate people are about the sports, and in almost every sport, the SEC is takes over. I mean, football, basketball this year especially, like, we saw in March
Yeah.
Madness so far, like, half of, like, the teams in the final 6 have
Yeah.
been SEC teams.
Yes. Yeah.
So, it's just, like it's just in every single campus, you can tell just, like, the school spirit and just, like, how much they embrace it. So, I have a special place in my heart for the SEC for
Oh,
sure.
I'm sure you do, and the interesting thing about, like you said, with basketball, I mean, when people talk about the SEC, they go straight to football usually, because the SEC has dominated college football, college sports, I should say, in general. But now that what you said with basketball, you got the March Madness on both sides, the women's and the men. You said half the teams are from the SEC. So because you got on the men's side, you have Auburn and
Florida.
Florida. Yes, yes. That's why I picked to win the whole thing. Florida and Auburn on the men's side. On the women's side, you have Texas and South Carolina.
Yes.
So it's. I mean, I'm sure for you, this was wonderful just to see that they're represented, that they're very represented. Like 50% of it is represented by the SEC in
Yes,
Final
no, that
Four.
was so cool to see, and also baseball.
And
Baseball
baseball too.
is
Yeah.
really big for SEC and SEC play and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's really all around for that, but
Yeah, it's been great. It's been good to, and I know SEC they get sometimes get a bad rap because they've been so dominant and the biases they talk about in the media. I'm just gonna quote that, and and like, oh, the SEC. Well, they're just good. It's
yeah,
just a real good conference. You just can't help it. The talent's there, the conference there, coaching is great, and I just you just can't help that. And like you said, you went to SEC Media Day. Talk a little bit about that. you say you got to meet Paul Feinbaum and others. Talk a little bit more about that, how that experience was.
So SEC Media Days, if anyone doesn't know what that is, it is a media days and it's just for SEC, and they're there to answer questions for the media for preseason stuff.
Yeah.
Anything that anyone's wondering, this is a time where the media can talk to the players.
Mm-hmm.
And so I went into SEC Media Days with Paul Feinbaum, and he was like, come with me and you can see how it goes and just meet all the people in ESPN that were there. And it was so cool. And there was certain different rooms. There was one area where it was like close-up interviews, another area where it was more of just the channels being there talking. And you saw so many different people doing everything at once in all these rooms. There was a lot of the players there. Like I saw Quinn Ewers, like I saw so many different players, and different days are for different schools because doing all the schools at once would be a lot. But yes, no, it's really cool. And this year it was in Dallas, and I live in Dallas, so that was also really nice.
Yeah, right there. For sure. And I'm sure you met Laura Rutledge, I'm assuming too. Yeah. Shout out to Laura Rutledge just seems such a nice person. And he said Paul Feinbaum, the mouth of the South, as they call him. And they just know their the SEC from the from the back of the hand. They really know their stuff on that. So you got a couple shout outs here. Nathan Ramasandra from the Nathan Sports Rush says hello. He said March Madness has been crazy and fun this year so far. SEC has represented as one of the best conferences by far. Yes, they are for sure. All right, what another thing I want to ask you about is some of your favorite things that you love to do for your job that you have, the position you have now. Is it reporting? Is it storytelling, or is it all like anchoring? What's some of your favorite parts of what you do in sports media and journalism?
It's more of like on the reporting side, but I also write with that.
Yeah.
So pretty much what I do is I see what's going on and I see what we're going to be talking about on the website for that day. And then I will write a script for myself, and then I will talk about it on camera. And they're about 1 minute, minute and a half long videos of me just talking about what's going on. And it's connected to the article on the top. So yeah, that's what I do. And I love it.
Yeah, and I'm sure the storytelling, the importance of storytelling and the writing, just highlighting some athlete or a coach or anything like that. I'm sure that's like one of the most important things that you love to do.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. So, and now you cover Colorado and Deion Sanders, coach of Colorado football. What do you? How has that first? What was the journey getting to SI? How did that all happen?
So after my sophomore year, so going to my junior year, that summer, I got an internship with a reporter through Sports Illustrated, and she did Dallas professional sports. She did the Cowboys, the Mavericks, and the Rangers. And I did an internship with her where every day we would do videos like I'm doing now, but it's more conversation videos.
Yeah.
And so I had that internship, and I also covered a Ranger game with her, which was really cool because that was my first professional game to cover. And after that, right before I was about to go back to school, I got a call from someone else in Sports Illustrated. And they were like, we've been watching you all summer and we wanted to know if you wanted a job. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, yes, like, oh my gosh, yes. And so they wanted to give me a job under Ole Miss Sports, which was great because I went to Ole Miss, like I know all about it.
Yeah.
And so I did the Ole Miss website. And then after I graduated, they let me keep my job. So I kept doing the Ole Miss on SI website. And then now recently I just moved to the Colorado Buffaloes website. So that is my journey, and I'm very thankful for it because it's given me so much opportunity and so much practice, and just like, yeah, it's been amazing. And
I'm sure. And then because I was reading, preparing for the show was doing some research, and as you said, you've done some sports reporting and anchoring for Newswatch, Ole Miss. As you said, college game day production assistant. So and then you said interning too. So you have a lot of those skills. Would you say that all those skills that you've done previously prepared you to be where you are today on SI?
For sure. It's from me getting, when I watch my videos from when I first started, it's so much different from now.
Yeah.
I'm very lucky I was able to start it early. So now, I mean, obviously every day you get better, but I'm so lucky to be able to start early because I was able to get in those reps, which is so important, just to be comfortable. So I've been very lucky in that all of that has helped me.
Yeah, you're right. I think that's a good point too, of just having those reps each and every day, and you get better, you sharpen your skills, and each day, and you get more comfortable, especially when you're on camera or anything like that. I think we're all from when we first started, even a couple of years ago, to what we are today. If you look back, I'm sure if I look back at some of my interviews from I've done this for now 10 years. So if I went back 10 years ago, I'm sure I'm a little bit better than I will have. I hope I've gotten much better than I was 10 years ago, even just 2 years ago.
Oh yes, for sure. Yeah. It's so funny to watch and see how much you can improve, and you just get more comfortable because it's so much different than talking to someone than talking on camera. I don't know how to explain it to people, but I've told them it's so much different. I don't know how to explain it, but it is.
I agree. I 100% agree. And I used to tell people all the time, they said, you talk to your friends and family differently than when you get on. You try to be more professional when you're on camera, but sometimes you get in that camera, you do get nerves before, I'm sure. And then when that light comes on, you start recording and you go live. It's like, oh yeah, now it's out for the public now. So I try to from since then, I try to, like I said, make it a conversation. Like, okay, like we've known each other for a long time. Always try to make the guest or whoever I have comfortable, and go from there. And just yes, interview type style, but it's more. I try to make it more conversational than just a straight interview and then really dive in. So I 100% agree. It is hard to explain to someone who's not used to it. They think you just record, and no, it's a lot to go to get to with it to once you start recording.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I 100% agree on that. So, but so now, like I said, now you cover Colorado Buffaloes. Talk about that. The difference too of Colorado and from in the SEC, where you covered from the SEC. Talk a little bit. What's the differences you feel on that front?
There, especially for Colorado, since that team is so hyped up, and the names that are on that team, it kind of feels almost similar because SEC, all the coaches, all the names, all the people, it's so big. But Colorado also has really big players. So and Dion, obviously. So
yes,
I think it's kind of similar in that way that they're both really big, which obviously all those conferences are big, but and just the people that are behind them and just stuff like that. So they're pretty similar in that way. But it's also been fun to learn more about that conference because I knew about stuff, but to dive deep into it and to actually learn and know about it better, it's been really fun. I really loved it. So fun.
And especially the last year, 2 years, I should say, with Dion being coach of Colorado, Deion Sanders, like the well-known name, Hall of Famer and everything too. Have you had interactions with Dion and or like that, or have you covered how was it covering Deion Sanders?
I haven't had an interaction with him, but I mean, every day there's something new and
story.
Yes, and just like people say how much he's changed college football, just how him being also changing that program. I mean, all the money that's gone into the program, all the hype that's gone into the program, like the players that have like committed to a certain school and they're switching their commitments to go to Colorado to play with Dion. And the powerhouses that are coming out of that school, such as Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders and just all those players like that. It's just really cool. And I think it's, yeah. And Dion is just, you know, he is really, and he just signed a new contract. So
yeah.
That is another good thing that is coming out of it is he will be in Colorado for a couple more years, which is really nice since this summer it was a little bit rocky with the Cowboys stuff, but you could tell from what he's been saying to the media that he wasn't worried about that. And he was just more worried about getting the team ready and getting the team prepared, which is really important because you can tell how serious he is about changing this program and making the program the best it can be.
Yeah. He has changed that program, especially has changed it around, and just his presence alone, they went improved his 2 years that he's been there. They've improved, and now you said Colorado. There's a lot of hype and everything that leads into it with Dion, and now, but now like I said, they're losing some players, and they're going to be losing players in the draft. Do you feel like both of them are going to be top 5 picks?
Shedeur and Travis Hunter.
Yep, Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Yeah.
I mean, so far from the predictions, that's what it looks like, and they're working out with some of the teams that have the first couple of picks. I wouldn't be surprised if they are, because I mean, it's for quarterbacks for sure. It's probably between Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, and it ultimately just comes down to what the coaches think is best.
Yeah.
And for Travis Hunter, I can totally see him going really quick because having a player that can play 2 positions could be very valuable to a team. It's kind of getting like a 2-in-1. So I think they both will for sure go pretty fast.
Yeah, because Travis Hunter, the Heisman Trophy winner and the talented player he is, do you feel like he should? You say he's a dual threat, better as, in your opinion, and as doing stories on him, better as defensive back or wide receiver. Do you think or does it even matter? Or is it just more DB than? I think it's more for me personally. I think it's more defensive back than receiver, depending on where a team picks him. I don't know if they're looking for a definite defensive back, a corner, or they look for a wide receiver, but he's talented on both. So, but in your opinion, what do you think is it going to be more defensive back or wide receiver?
Well, he's had really good numbers on both sides of the ball, which is crazy to think about.
Right.
Sometimes if someone can play another position, a lot of times they have one that's their main, but he honestly is just good at both. I think that if he had to pick one, I think depending on what the team needed, he could mainly play in that position, and then maybe some surprise special like play that comes out and he goes out on offense and no one's expecting, or he goes into defense and no one's expecting it and they're not ready for it. That could be another way they go about it, is he plays one. But I know he keeps saying that he wants to play both in the NFL, and that's what he keeps saying. So I'm assuming he's probably going to stick with that. And a lot of the coaches that they've talked to the media about him seem like they're okay with that, as long as he can keep going and he doesn't get tired. But all of them seem pretty optimistic about that opportunity happening.
Yeah, to have a talented player like him, wherever he goes, and have a chance to play both. You don't really see it often. Like you might see they'll play a main position, like say he is a DB, and then he gets into it to be a defensive back. And then they could use him on offense on certain plays, I don't know, gadget plays and things like that. I guess I could see that, but you're right. It's more about as long as he doesn't get injured or be getting tired, because I know playing it's a demanding on both. I'm sure playing 2 different positions, one on offense, one on defense, they will take a toll on his body. And he did it in college at a high level, but I guess with the NFL, it's going to be a little different. But I can see him being, like I said, being a defensive back, and then maybe used on certain plays, gadget plays, and things like that when needed for receiver. But he's a talented individual. So I wouldn't be surprised if he tries to do both.
Yes, no, he's won all the awards this year for both sides of the ball. Won the Heisman, obviously, has won he's like the most decorated player in college football right now.
Yes.
So obviously, if the stats run with how he's playing, obviously you can't argue his stats. So
right.
yeah, I guess we'll see what happens when the day actually comes, and when
Mhm.
whichever team he gets on, I guess when the season starts or whenever, we'll see, I guess, what they end up choosing. But
Yeah, because that's yes. And then they said it'll be top 5. And then just on Shador quickly, all the reports about him, being this type of person, he's arrogant and and then his father being Dion. That's just he's just a celebrity. He's a celebrity. The answer is that's what he was. He was that in when he played, and he's that with coaching. Just it comes with that, and Shador's got to see that, and now he's living it because of with his name and he did his thing in college too. What's your take on all that with everyone? I should say everyone, but people talking about Shador in that light about, well, he's this, he's that, and he doesn't do this, he doesn't do that. But what's your take on Shador Sanders?
well, a lot of people are saying that because he hasn't been throwing in the combine and the Big 12 pro days, which a lot of people have different thoughts about if quarterbacks don't get involved with it.
Right.
But Cam Newton was just talking on his podcast about how he thinks that it's probably a better idea that he's not really involved in that and just doing media, because he had such a good season that if he does anything wrong, that could hurt his draft like a lot. So I think mostly with all that, it comes with that. But I think he has a type of confidence because he's been around all these NFL players, like like Tom Brady, like he was saying, that's one of his mentors. Like, I think it's more confidence, and sometimes you can get those two confused. But I mean, he said that he will be on any team. Like, I think it's just more confidence. So we'll see. But I think the way he's going about it is good. But he will be throwing in the NFL Showcase at Colorado. That's coming up. So you'll be able to see that then, and that's when he will throw. But the Titans won't be at that, but he's going to go and practice with them, like do a workout with them. So we'll see how that goes when he finally throws for the Scouts for the first time before the draft.
Yeah, great analysis. I agree 100%. I think it's just more confidence, and at that position you got to be confident. Like you can't, quarterback is a demanding position, and you have to have some confidence. And all the greats, all the winners and greats at the QB position have some confidence, some more than others. But you look at players like Patrick Mahomes and I got to go Jalen Hurts. That's my guys because that's I'm an Eagles fan, so big Eagles fan. But he's confident. He was confident, and he stays confident even when things are not looking right. He's very confident in saying, I'm gonna turn this around and we're gonna win and we're gonna do this. So Tom Brady, you said, that was a mentor hit. Probably one of the most confident quarterbacks we've ever seen, players we've ever seen. So, and the greatness of Tom Brady. So, yes, you have to have, and then Dion, another very confident person and player, still is to this day. So you got to have that to be. I think that you got to have a lot of confidence to be great anyway.
Oh yeah, and like if you're not confident, I don't feel like your team can trust what's happening. If something's going bad, you have the confidence. You're like, we can do this. It's also helps with leadership, and it's so important for quarterbacks to have leadership. So that could honestly, him having that confidence really could help him as a strength in the NFL, which teams can look at also.
Yeah, for sure. I love that point. You have to, if you're to be a leader, especially if he goes to whatever team selects him. I still feel like it's going to be the Giants. They got a boatload of quarterbacks now, but they're not long-term solutions. But they're very, Cam Ward, he's confident. So yeah, I agree 100%. All right, just one more, and before I let you go, I've really enjoyed this this conversation, and for someone in your position, and if young girls want to come, or young kids just want to come to you and ask for advice to how to get into sports journalism, media, news, whatever it is, what advice would you give them?
So the biggest advice I've been told, and like we were saying earlier, Laura Rutledge, I talked to her and she gave me a lot of advice just about her story and stuff. And the big thing is connections, just meeting people, being open to meeting people, and just really embracing those connections, because most of the people, every person I've met in this business wants to help, and they're excited to help, and they're excited for the new generation of reporters. So I just think get connections and don't be nervous because they want to help you. And also just reps, just find any way you can practice. Like even if you wanted to like open up your phone and just video you talking, just talk in front of a mirror, like anything you want, right? Learn more about sports. And yeah, I just think women in this profession, it's really inspiring because you just see a whole entire other level to it and different perspectives. And I think there's so many more women in this profession now. And it's amazing. I've met so many people when I was in school that wanted to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And just even people that have been in the business for such a long time. So I think connections is one of my biggest things. That's what I've told so many people when they've asked me, and just reps. Those are honestly my two big things. And don't be nervous, even though it can be nerve-wracking. It's honestly, everyone's just trying to, go for the same goal. And everyone seems like they're your biggest fan, and they really are, because they want to help you in any way. So don't be scared to email that person that you've always watched. Don't be scared to DM them, to comment, because a lot of times they will answer you and they will be open. I've been on so many phone calls with reporters that have been in the business for so long. And they just are open to answering any questions, talking to me on the phone, wanting me to come shadow them, just so I can see the business and learn more and talk to more people. So I think those are the biggest things I would say.
Yeah, good takeaways. I agree with that. Connections and reps and reaching out. Don't be scared to reach out. And yeah, and I agree, because even you said the DM's open. If you find email, just be professional about it once you reach out. Just because even like if you want to get on, like you want to do a podcast too or anything like that, it's all about reaching out. I have no problem reaching out to people, because they said the worst. I mean, yes, the worst thing you can say is no, but I always say don't take it personal either if they do, or be persistent and just say, okay, maybe next time, and you wait next time. I mean, don't be like a stalker or anything like that. Don't do anything like that. But just to ask to be professional and ask that question, and you never know. You might get more yeses than you might get. You're gonna get no's, but you're gonna get some yeses too to on that part as well. So
no, I've gotten so many yeses, and like the reason I got connected with Paul Feinbaum was because he talked to one of my classes. Zoom to my writing class, and he was like, I'm going to email him. And I found his email and we talked, and that led to CC Media Days, which led to me helping shadow during the Red River rivalry, which is the OU Texas game. And so I got to see like the whole setup and the whole thing go on. So you reaching out to someone could lead to so many connections that you don't even think is possible. Like if you told me even a year ago that I can email Paul Feinbaum whenever I want and he will answer me and he's open. Right. I would have said you're crazy. Like I would have been like, there's no if you just do it, you never know what's going to happen. The only thing that can happen is they don't answer, and it's the same as you not saying anything. So
yeah, exactly. I like that. Yes, I 100% agree. Because look I reached out to you and found you, like I said, on SI, and I just said, hey, I found you on Instagram and kind of reached out, and this is now we did the interview. So that's great. That's great advice as well. But then this last one, I just one more I wanted to ask you about. What's next for Skyler Gerard? Anything you can announce, like what you got coming up?
Well, I will still be doing the Colorado Buffaloes, which I'm really excited about with the draft coming up. There's going to be so much coming out. I'm so excited to see, because there's so many different Buffaloes that maybe drafted to different teams, but especially those top two players. I'm excited to see what happens with them too, because you never know. They could be first and second. You never know.
Yeah, so, never know.
I'm really excited about the draft and just excited for all of that coming up. And Yeah, for football season to come again. So
Yes, we only get a little bit of hiatus with
yes,
football. Yeah, because you're right. You had the Super Bowl, and then you had the combine, and then now you got the draft, or free
mhm,
agency, then the draft, and then next
yeah,
thing you know, we'll be in training camps
yes.
again, and enjoying that, and then football's back again. So
And I'm always telling people, they're like, "So when do you cover what?" And I'm like, "Well, I cover this and this and this, but football's all year round because there's always something going on in
yep,
football, whether
yeah,
it's spring training, draft, all this stuff. So there's
yeah.
always something in football happening, but when the season
There's no downtime when it's
no,
football. Like you
yes,
might get a month that in between the June, July, but then it's like hitting the ground running again. So it's like
yes.
a 10, 11 month. Yeah, you're right. It is all year round.
But it's very
So
exciting, all of it
yeah, it
happening.
is for sure. Well, Skyler, thank you again for doing this. I really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. And many blessings to you. Best of luck with everything you got coming up in the future. And yeah, this was a lot of fun. I really appreciate it. I'll have this video up later today or tomorrow, for if you want to share and everything too. So, but I really appreciate the time.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun. So thank you so much.
Thank you. And you can follow Skylar on SI, covering the Colorado Buffaloes as well. You can follow her also on Instagram and Twitter X as well. So is that where everything, Twitter and Instagram usually?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
for
So
sure.
yep, Skylar Gerard. So just as I said, type it in. You'll find her there. Just ask questions or for advice or anything like that. So
For
again,
sure.
I appreciate it, and thank you again. And enjoy the weekend.
Thank you so much.
All right. Have a good one.